So after the wonderful lecture of Peter, I'm excited about introducing Uri, my very good friend since more than 20 years. Huh? And I learned from Uri using the microscope on very sensitive details in therapeutic processes. And this is a quality that I estimate high, and I am envious and jealous because it's something that you own and I don't. And I'm really happy. I learned a lot from you, and I'm sure I will today also. So the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So hopefully the presentation will show up soon. Moin moin. My name is Uri Weinblatt, and my second visit to Germany was 20 years ago. And at the time, I came as Chaim's escort, the guy that gives the golf clubs to the master. And Chaim was generous enough. I was a student, a doctorate student at the time, to invite me. And then I had some luck because Chaim's son was here also, and he wanted to go to lunch with him. And he said, hey, can you give the workshop on the sit-in instead of me? That was about half an hour before the workshop. And I was young, and the group of people that I met were all more experienced than me as therapists and more knowledgeable. The only thing I knew more was the sit-in. So I was very lucky, and that really changed my life, this visit. I usually say jokingly that Osnabrück is my favorite town in Germany, my Lieblingsstadt, and people laugh, but it's the truth. And it's the truth because we care and love the people that give us value and meaning and a sense of belonging. Okay, and we hate the people that do the opposite. We love the people that take away our shame. That's a quote from Uri Weinblatt. So that was my second visit. And my first visit was to Berlin in 1991. I was traveling in Europe with the U-Rail, you know, using the U-Rail a lot, going with one train to one place to the other. And I think I was in Switzerland or Austria, and I had the idea of going to Prague. East Europe just opened up, and I wanted, everybody said, you have to go to Prague. So I went, I took a night train to Prague, but then I fell asleep, and I didn't change trains, and I wake up in Berlin. Now, if you arrive to Berlin by coincidence or by plan, you go to the wall, right? It just fell, the Berlin Wall, more or less a year before. So I went there, and I bought a stone, maybe, from the wall. And you could see me there, sitting with my red bandana. You can't really see it. That red bandana saved me because I was a very shy kid. I still am, but I learned to mask it. I was very shy, but when I put on my red bandana, I felt like I have the force because I looked kind of cool. I still have the bandana. And as I was walking in Berlin, there was a song that was sung. I heard it on the radio. And I thought it'll be nice that we sing along. Okay, the lecture is called Contactivity. This is the approach I developed, composed of contact and activity. And one of the best ways to create contact through activity is singing. So, for this song, I want you to give a very warm welcome to Rike and Carmen.
No, we need to. It's a sing-along song, guys. What? It's like the first Follow the Moskva down to Gorky Park, listening to the wind of change. In August summer night, soldiers passing by, listening to the wind of change. The world is closing in, and did you ever think that we would be so close like brothers? The shivers in the air, I can feel it everywhere, blowing with the wind of change.
I think it was I think it was Erich Fromm that said that neurotic people predict the future. Okay, what did he mean by that? He meant that the more sensitive among us react to symptoms or become symptomatic. They react to processes within our culture and society, become symptomatic before these processes are evident and clear to everybody else. And my work with avoidant people, I'll call them avoiders, okay, has taught me a lot of what's going on right now. They opened my eyes to processes. For example, the high expectations that young people live today that are suffocating them. And the toxic, how toxic a society is when it's so competitive. And how much our school systems, which have been outdated for so long, are becoming unbearable. And how difficult it is to feel that you belong today. This is one of my hypotheses, that we have more avoidance because it's harder to feel that we belong. And in general, avoiders have predicted the fact that it's hard as human beings to feel like we have future here on this earth and that we have meaning, especially now with the new AI and the new technologies. Do we have any place here? Do our lives have any meaning? Okay? Next slide, please. So I went, because the AI is so popular now, I went up on ChatGPT and asked it to write me a quote about avoidance, Buddha style. Okay? So please write me a quote, Buddha style. And the quote, it will show up soon, but it's more or less that the avoidance of discomfort is the path to happiness. Nice. The avoidance of discomfort is the path to happiness. That's what the Buddha AI wrote. And then I started becoming very, here it is. And then I started becoming energetic. I said, AI Buddha, can you tell me something more, some wisdom? And the next quote from Buddha is, by avoidance, we heal our wounds. Whoa. Smart. Smart. Okay, this is, I think, one of the things that avoidant people do or try to do, but nobody sees it. Everybody sees it only as a pathology. Didn't we all avoid at certain times in our lives just to lick our wounds? And what I think happens with many young people is that they do a natural and good thing, and then they get stuck. Another hypothesis. But I don't know, this Buddha was too optimistic about avoidance. And I said, okay, enough with Buddha. I asked the AI, can you write me a quote about avoidance, Nietzsche style? So this is what it came. Avoiding suffering is the best solution, but the worst solution for the soul. Nice. Nice. So, is avoidance good or bad? Okay? And this is a question that many of my clients, the parents that I work with, when they come with avoidant kids, they ask me this question. Is this natural, normative avoidance, or is this something to get worried about? Now, this is very similar to questions that we had from parents about aggression, right? They ask us the same question. Hey, I have a teen who is acting out. Is this normal hormonal imbalance, or does he or she need treatment? So we need to know these answers. And originally, another slide, please. Originally, I didn't know how to answer these questions. I didn't know what is normative avoidance. I also, to tell the truth, didn't really know how to get out of these processes. And I failed quite a lot. I tried different interventions. It didn't feel I'm being very effective. I used to feel that I'm quite effective using NVR with kids with behavioral problems, and it wasn't the same. And I started trying out different interventions to see what works and what doesn't work. And with time, and now my practice is, I would say, at least 70–80% avoidant people, mostly boys, but the girls are catching up. Okay, the girls are catching up. Okay, I use this approach, and I would like to share a couple of principles from this approach with you, and then at the end, show maybe a little small demonstration of one of the interventions, the connecting sit-in. Okay? So please, next slide. So the first principle is that avoidance is not aggression. Now this seems so self-evident, right? I mean, how can we consider avoidance to be aggressive? And yet, many parents, teachers, and therapists view avoidance as a type of, strategy in a power struggle. They view it as manipulation, laziness. We don't understand it. And I remember a school psychologist calling it, oh, yes, yes, I have many of these silent rebels. Okay, we understand so many problems through the lens of power. And this was the first major shift I had to do in my own thinking, to understand that it's not about power, okay? And if we use power-oriented interventions, we are most likely to fail. How do I know? I tried it. Okay? I took away kids who've been at home, and I took away their computer. Did they run back to school? No. I didn't understand the problem. Okay, so I had to change this understanding. What I did find out was that the main problem in avoidance and in aggression is completely different. Okay, in NVR, when we work with violent and aggressive kids, the most important thing is to deal with escalation. When we work with avoidant kids, okay, we don't have contact. We don't have the meeting. It's much more difficult, and that is the problem. The problem is the avoidance, the lack of motivation. the disconnection. That is the problem. And if that is the problem, the solution should be creating contact. Just like in regular NVR, the solution was de-escalation. In NVR, our whole program, all the interventions are about our different ways and means to de-escalate. So if we develop a program for avoidant kids, our interventions should be to maintain contact. And that's quite difficult, okay, with avoidant people. Now, okay, in this sense, you know, Gandhi said that the way is the goal, right? Okay, the means are the goal. Okay, when we want to fight violence, we want people to be non-violent, we use non-violence. When we work with avoidant people, the way is the goal. The fact that we create contact solves the problem. We don't need to do much more after that. But to create and maintain contact, we need a different parental presence. Not that self-control, persistence, and courage are not important. They're always good. But they're not the most important ingredients in working with avoidant kids. Here, we need other qualities, like openness. Why? Because the kid is so closed. Flexibility. Why? Because the kid is so rigid. Optimism. Now, I'm not going through a very optimistic phase in my life. Christian knows it. I said the word democracy, I started crying yesterday. I'm not very optimistic, but I try. I'm a father. I'm a therapist. Yes, I'm not very optimistic, but I try. And I try to help parents become optimistic, although they're not. Okay, if your kid is not going to school for a year, staying in the room, are you optimistic? Does your kid need you to be optimistic? Yeah. He needs someone, or she needs someone. Okay, so that's our job. That's our job as grown-ups today. It's a world, many reasons. Probably there were always many reasons, but I don't know. And in this sense, we're doing NVR. This is our resistance work. Okay, what are we resisting? Despair. Okay, and when we're working with avoidant people, despair is always a major, major theme. This is the resistance. This is where supporters come in and help. Okay, it's fighting. No, okay, so I have different tricks of creating that kind of sense, that kind of, okay, when the kid comes and he says, when he does show up and I've been in school for a year, I said, just a year? Nah, it's not serious. I see here kids 3 years, 4 years, 1 year. Okay, seriously. Okay, I had once a client. I say these things about myself. He says, I understand your technique as a therapist. When I tell you that my life is bad, you say your life is worse. So it makes me always feel much better. The last quality of parents of avoided kids is that they will become attractive, seductive, cool. Okay, why? Okay, he needs to listen to us because we are his parents. Not attractive. He needs to go to school. Okay, why do we need to become attractive? all of us, okay? We need to become attractive. Because the way of connecting with the avoidant child is not by running after them. Enough. That's what I tell parents. Haven't you been in the class about romantics in high school? Make them run after you. You don't run after them. What's going on here? But we're not attractive. You're not attractive. You're smart, you're loving, you're caring, and you have more money than the kid. Use your attractivity, okay? And we need it because the avoidant person is within their cave. And we don't get them out of the cave by yelling and screaming and you have to get out. No. No. We need to pull them out by creating curious experiences. Okay? By being attractive. And then the kid or the teenager or the young adult, what is that? Maybe I want to be part of that. Okay. So what does it mean to be attractive? He doesn't sit with us when we have dinner. What does it mean to be attractive? Well, I say being attractive, first of all, shut your mouth when he comes to dinner. What do you mean? Stop with the questions. Let him eat. That's attractive. But we want to show him we love him. Do it by shutting your mouths. And then, when he wants to leave after 2 minutes, smile. Say it was lovely having him there, and let him go. No, he doesn't have to stay. Half an hour, that's the rule in their house. No. Okay, being attractive. Now, avoidance, and till what hour do I have? I think 10, more than, I have, okay. So, let's do it quickly. So avoidance is usually related to, avoidance is usually related to anxiety, right? Okay, anxiety and avoidance are highly correlated. And often, avoidant kids will receive that diagnosis, okay? Often social anxiety, where in reality, the main emotion that's playing the leading role here is shame. Shame also leads to avoidance, but a different type of avoidance. Next slide, please. Okay, when anxiety is the main emotion, then we run away. But when we see people, our family, our parents, we are comforted. Okay, this is what the anxious kid does. He runs to his parents. Okay, people are a sense of comfort, the herd. That's anxiety. Anxiety is the emotion that signals danger. So we want safety. Safety is among other people. With shame, we don't only run away, we hide. And who do we hide from? Other people, but also ourselves. That's what makes shame so damaging. The hiding is always twofold. We hide from other people, but we hide from ourselves, which means we don't know our own, we don't want to know our own feelings and emotions. Okay, this is what makes shame so difficult. The disintegration, the disconnection happens with the outside world and with the inside world. And this is the way that we move forward. We create, our interventions are meant to create contact within and coming from the outside. Shame is the emotion of inferiority. When we fail, when we lose, when we don't belong. All experiences that avoiders have tremendously hard time regulating. Okay, every experience of failure is devastating. And in order to return back to life, whether they're at home, they're not meeting friends or whatever, they have to develop the courage, and the courage comes from the connection. Just like what you said, Peter, about Rosa Parks' quote, okay, the power comes from knowing what we need to do. Next slide, please. Now, we often talk about, in therapy, about reducing masks, taking them off, right? Showing our true self. Okay, the mask is our false self. But in working with avoiders, often you have to develop masks for the young person. It's not always about taking them off. It's not always about being seen. We always think that being seen is always good. No. Not with someone who has high levels of shame. Then I don't want to be seen. Leon Wormser wrote a few books about shame. The eyes are the organ of shame. Every intervention which has shame regulation properties always has to do with the look. Okay, in a regular sit-in, okay, violence comes out of shame also. We'll talk about it. We lower our heads, okay, not to have staring competition, eye contact, because it can escalate. With avoidant people, it's even worse. They don't become angry, but they become more avoidant. So it's about helping people who feel totally naked, putting something to protect them. Some masks, we all need them in order to survive social life. Otherwise, I can't go into a group when I feel everybody sees everything that's within me. I'm too transparent. Next slide, please. So when we talk about shame, okay, Nathanson, American researcher on shame, he said we do 4 things. We either attack others. What we do is when we feel shame, when we feel inferior, we shift this experience to another person. Okay, this is aggression. This is violence. I feel shitty, I'm going to make you feel shitty. I feel inferior, I'm going to make you feel inferior, and that will give me value. And VR is here. And then we have 3 other reactions. According to Nathanson, withdrawal is about not being in places that we might feel shame. So it's physically distancing ourselves. That's school refusal. Schulverweigerung, okay? Then there's avoidance. Avoidance is about doing something actively to reduce our shame. Okay? So addictions are a type of avoidance according to Nathanson. We smoke, we play too much video games, we eat too much, we drink too much, and so forth. And attacking the self is another way of handling it. Okay? That's the work of the inner critic. Okay? When we work with avoidant people, we need to take care of all 3 aspects. The physical withdrawal, the activities to annihilate shame, and the endless self-critique. Next slide. So when we do contactivity, when we do NVR with avoidant people, we need to create 3 levels of connections. One with the self. How do we do it? By promoting honesty. Creating connections with another human being. How do we do that? By promoting intimacy. And creating a connection to the group by developing a sense of belongingness. Now, technology creates problems. Yes, technology made people avoidant, but it's also a way of getting out of avoidance. So in my own practice, I have a gaming room now. Okay, and when young people come and see this room, okay, I sit on the couch, real cool, and they say, "Hey, what's that room?" "My gaming room." Okay, if they were German, they would say, "Echt?" Say, "Really? Nah, yeah. And if you want to play, we can play, dude." Okay? Attractive. How do we connect people through the gaming? I used to fight games and so forth. I use them. How do I use them? By doing something very simple. By deciding that playing games is a valuable human experience. And if it's an experience that has the same value like any other human experience, then I have something to work with. It's not only giving respect to the kid, it's about suddenly they discover that they have a life. And the grown-ups saying, "Oh, no, you're wasting your time." I said, those grown-ups, they don't understand anything. You came to the right person. Okay, hey, tell me, what do you play? Now, do you think I understand something with games? No, null. But I learned to ask the right questions. And we all of you know the right questions. Okay, why? Because we all play games. We all play games. We just need to say, this is a game. This is an experience. So I asked the kids, hey, what characteristics do you need to be a good player in this game? Huh? Nobody asked them that. They play for 5 years, 10 hours a day. Yeah. What characteristics do you need? Do you need to be creative? Do you need to be funny? Do you need to be able to work with other people? Do you need to be strategic-minded? They never thought that they are this person. And at some point they, yes, maybe, because they always think technique, no. Strategic and you need to be smart. Ah, nice. Okay, so I start creating a dialogue where I increase their contact with themselves and strengthen their self-esteem. Next one. And I think I have really only a few minutes, right? Okay, 5 more minutes. So, principle 4, connecting conversations lead to contact, problem-solving conversations lead to loss of contact. If there is one huge mistake that we do, is by trying to solve the problem too quickly, or I would say, trying to solve the wrong problem. Okay, we have a dialogue with a kid, he's not going to school. Here are a list of less than 2 really lousy questions. The first, awful question. Please, please, please never ask an avoidant kid this question. Why aren't you going to school? Okay, I'll tell you the answer already. Don't know. Now, it's not only a bad question, it makes the kid feel worse because we just created another failure experience. So why? Now, they don't have an idea, they don't have a clue. Why? Because they're disconnected from themselves. Another bad question, also from good intentions. How can we help you move forward? How can we help you go to school? 15-year-old disconnected, now he needs to create a plan. No. Okay, how can, he doesn't know. Okay, we're helpless, so we throw that helplessness on the kid. Okay, I have an injury, how can I, tell me how to take care of you? No. Okay, so we need to do something else. Okay, and the goal is to create contact. It's hard. Okay, but the problem-solving conversations, they are good, but they always show up too early, at the end of the process. Okay, it's a little bit like the work with addictions. Okay, you need to create the motivation, the inner strength. Then you can talk about techniques of how to, to stop. So, next slide, we can even keep that. So, just a short demonstration. Okay, a short demonstration. So, we often think that the best conversations, the most intimate conversations, take place within a one-on-one situation. Okay, right? That's where intimacy, that's therapy. Okay, here's the kid, here's the grown-up. So I want to know why you're not going to school. Don't know. I really want to help you. How can I help you? And so it goes, and everybody has their breaking point, okay, where you run out of questions, and then what the hell am I going to do with this kid? Okay, it's very frustrating. So I understood that often, not always, often, and by the way, with avoidant kids, okay, the Japanese, they're the experts, okay? It's a very diverse crowd, okay? Just like with aggressive kids, a diverse crowd. Not different people have different needs and will react to different interventions, okay? In that sense, Dan Dahlberger's work is also with avoidant kids and uses more classical NVR techniques. It's effective with a group of avoiders. I use it sometimes, and sometimes I use this approach. So I understood that the one-on-one is dangerous for the kid. It's not helpful, doesn't create contact. So I said, why don't I bring another person into the room? Okay? So now it's me, the mother, and the kid. And I started doing that, and then I started coaching parents on doing this dialogue with the kid. So it's two parents, father, mother, and kid. Okay? Now, this is the classical way that parents sit and think. They sit together and think together. Okay? Family therapy theory says parents need to have the coalition among themselves. Okay? We do this regular sit-in. We have the parents sit one next to the other to empower them, because there we want them to develop courage and self-control. This sitting together helps in doing that. But with avoidant kids, having 2 against 1, will that help in creating contact? What do you think? Of course not. Okay? Now, I want you just to think about the eyes. Okay? Here, it's a dangerous situation because all the focus, if it's a one-on-one, is on the kid. All the eyes, all the attention, all the responsibility on him. If we add another adult and they do the same, what did we do? We made things worse. Too much exposure. So what do? We have one parent sit here, the kid sits here, and mother sits here. So now it's a more fair 2 against 1. Okay, so the first thing I understood is that parents need to take different roles in this intervention. We have one parent who is a leader of the conversation, and one parent who is the supporter of the conversation. We know that support is important. Here we do it live. So look at the eyes now. There is the kid, there is the mother, there's the father, and the parents can sometimes look at each other and give this poor kid time to relax and take a pause to, take a breath. We allow the child to do that. So the father says, we wanted to talk with you about you not going to school. Why aren't you going to school? Same opening. Now, I like now, by the way, to do the openings. I would like to talk about, not the we. The we is good when it's all 3 of us. When it's we, the parents, against you, the kid, that creates discontact. Okay? The we is an empowering word, but we do not want to empower the parent and lower the kid. If we use the we, it's all of us. So we do say, we, all of us, are going to solve this problem. It's not only your problem. That's a great we. But if we, the parents, want you, then we created. Okay, so the father says, we, okay, because that's the way the parents talk. We want to understand blah, 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 blah. The kid doesn't know how to answer. But mother, she's the supporter of the conversation. She says, interesting, father. Why do you want to talk about school? So the conversation, the father now says, well, I want to talk about school because I'm worried and I care about our son. Looks at the son, but looks at the mother also. So the conversation already started, and it does not depend on the cooperation of the child. Okay? So mother can say, oh, okay, you know that dad cares about you? Yes. Okay, so how is, the fact that I don't know, Lucas is not going to school. How is that affecting you, Dad? Well, I said I'm worried, but I feel we are not connected anymore. There's a conversation. Okay? And every now and then, we reach out to the child, we ask the child questions, and when he or she don't know how to answer, we have a supporter. Well, I don't understand why he's not going to school, father says. Mother, You know, there might be many reasons. Maybe it's teacher, maybe it's the kids, maybe it's the toilets, which are always smelly. Which one are they? Not the toilets. Okay, so we have a very, very successful conversation like that, okay? And it goes on, and at some point, and in a very short time, we do short conversations to make everybody feel successful. We leave with a good mood, and the kid now feels comfortable, safe. They will not be afraid of such conversations, and with time, we enlarge them. We extend them, and the kid usually develops what we always want to do with avoidant kids, is to help them have a voice. Thank you very much.